Dynamic paint is one of my favorite physics properties in Blender. There are countless ways that we can use it, but today I'll be showing you my top 3. My name is Kenny Phases, and today we'll be learning how to use dynamic paint in 3 creative ways. We'll be using the latest version of Blender 4.3.2, however this should work in most recent versions as well. You can see from these examples that we have some awesome use cases for dynamic paint. We'll first go over my top 3 approaches, and then we'll get into creating some polished renders. This approach is completely physics-based, and it's quite simple to set up, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Similar to a paintbrush and a canvas, dynamic paint uses 2 main components to function. Our brush can affect the canvas in multiple ways for different effects. We'll essentially need 2 objects for this example: a canvas, which we'll use a plane for, and a brush, which can be any object that we like. In my case, I'll use a sphere. Let's start off by deleting the default cube and adding in a plane. By tapping into edit mode, we can quickly subdivide the plane 5 times. This will allow us to have more geometry to work with when applying our dynamic paint canvas. Now we can add our mesh sphere. Next, I will apply the dynamic paint canvas property to our plane. Make sure to select waves under the surface type. Now for our sphere, we will add the dynamic paint property and select brush. Everything is now set up properly, and if we hit play on our timeline, we can select and move our sphere with the G shortcut to affect our plane. To smooth out this effect even further, you can simply add a subdivision surface modifier to the plane. Make sure to also shade your objects smooth. At this point, we can now animate our sphere in any way we choose, and we can watch the results in real time. Be sure to always go back to frame 0 before attempting to play back your simulation. Experimenting with the surface properties can also drastically affect your simulation results. Play around with damping, spring, and smoothness for different timing and effects. Now for our next dynamic paint example, I'll be demonstrating how we can make footprints or boot prints on a ground-like surface. We can use the same plane from the previous example, but this time we'll need to change the surface type to displace. The main difference here is that our surface won't generate waves, but instead it will take an impression of the shape interacting with it. This is particularly useful if you want to make footprints, animal tracks, or tire marks. The key setting to play with here is dissolve, which determines how quickly the canvas will return to its original shape. We will need a detailed object for this example, so I will head over to CG Trader and search under the free category. I found a great boot model that we can use, and it's royalty free. I will include a link in the description for those who want to follow along with the exact same model. After importing the model into Blender, I will animate the boot up and down over a distance to simulate boot prints. If you need extra detail in your simulation, simply subdivide your plane in edit mode a few more times. Our next example is the paint surface type. As the original name implies, dynamic paint can actually be used to paint on a canvas. This method is slightly more complex than the others, so make sure to follow the steps as closely as possible. I will start from scratch on this one to make things simple. Add your plane, subdivide as usual, and add a brush. Any object will work. Now under your dynamic paint surface settings for your canvas, choose Paint. Under the initial color, choose the type Color. Under Output, delete both values and add in your attribute value for the paint map layer. This will be used in our shader editor. When we head over to the shading tab, we can now set everything up. Simply give your plane a new material and search for the color attribute node. Choose your attribute in the search bar and connect this into the base color input. Now we'll be able to see our brush actually affecting our canvas. To make the paint appear to dry or disappear, simply switch the attribute to the wet map layer. You can now adjust the dry time on your canvas settings. We can now make something look like it's evaporating. This effect is extremely useful, especially when you combine it with shader nodes and realistic textures. Now that we understand all 3 methods, let's put this all together into some polished renders. For our first render, we'll be recreating this tire tracks animation. I'll start with a fresh document and add in our plane, subdividing it about 50 times. Add a dynamic paint canvas with the type Displace. We'll probably increase the subdivisions later as needed for more detail. I found an awesome free 3D model of a tire that we can utilize for this animation. After importing, we can scale our tire down as we see fit. Make sure your tire is set up close to the bottom of the plane and it's zeroed out on either the Y or the X axis. Add a dynamic paint brush property to the tire. Next, we can add an empty to our scene to control our tire's rotation around a circular axis. Start by parenting the tire to the empty. After this, we will animate the empty to rotate our tire 360 degrees. On frame 1, with your empty selected, insert a keyframe with the shortcut I. Now, on the last frame, add 360 degrees to the Z rotation and add that final keyframe. When we play back our animation, we should have the tire rotating on one full circle. Finally, we can make our tire actually rotate in the same way. I will zero out the tire's rotational values first on frame 1, insert a keyframe with the shortcut I, and then head to the last keyframe and add 2 full rotations at 720 degrees. Experiment with this value to get the correct look for your specific tire or object. Now, when we play back our animation, we can see how the tire will make a nice imprint on our surface. For more detail, simply keep subdividing that plane. Next, we'll set up our lighting and materials. I'll add an HDRI environment texture for some simple quick lighting here. Next, I'll head over to polyhaven.com to grab a nice gravel sand texture. After copying over the material, I'll simply add it to the plane and adjust the mapping scale to size our texture properly. You'll need to experiment with these values. I'll also adjust the displacement to make it slightly less intense. Shading flat on your plane surface may be necessary for a good result. Now, I'll simply add a principled BSDF to my rubber surface for my tire and a metallic shader to the inner rim. And now we're ready to set up our camera. I'll be using an orthographic camera that's pointed down at an even angle on both sides. Feel free to copy my exact settings on the screen. For an even more dramatic effect, I'll add depth of field to our camera, and I'll select the tire as the main focus object. This will give a dramatic macro feel to our render. Finally, I will increase the contrast in color management for a better look, and we're ready to render. I am super happy with how this turned out, and this final result is quite awesome for how simple the process is. For this next example, we'll be creating a warped fruit collision animation. First, I'll download a photo scanned fruit from polyhaven.com. After importing this, I will apply a dynamic paint type canvas to our fruit. Make sure to use the surface type waves. I'll next add in a sphere and add the dynamic paint type brush to our sphere. You can now interact with the fruit. To create a smoother appearance, we can subdivide the model and add a smooth modifier with about 11 repeats. Next, I will animate the sphere to go through our fruit from the left side all the way to the right side. This will create a fun ripple effect throughout the apple. Next, I'll set up a basic camera facing our apple. For lighting, I'll simply add an HDRI and I'll rotate it around until I find some lighting that I really like. Once we're done with our lighting, I can also enable depth of field for a more dramatic effect. After adding a metallic shader to the sphere and turning on motion blur, we're going to simply bake our simulation and we're ready to render. I think that this simulation came out super awesome. For this next example, we'll start off with a blank document. Add any object you want, in this case I'll use a sphere. Our goal is to use dynamic paint to make this object appear out of thin air. We can do this by utilizing the dynamic paint type paint. Make sure to add a dynamic paint property to the sphere, selecting the type paint. Next, I will delete the paint map and the wet map layers, and I'll add a new paint map layer. Make sure to select attribute in the paint map layer. For your initial color, choose color. Also, be sure to open the effects panel and make sure that spread is enabled. I'll set this to a value of 10. Next, we'll add an object to act as our brush. This can be anything you want. I'll just choose a sphere. Make sure to set this to a dynamic paint type brush. Also, set your timeline to about 60 frames so that we can easily see our results looping as we create our new shader. Next, we'll head over to the Shading tab and give our sphere a new material. Add the following nodes for this shader setup, and you can choose any color on the color ramp that you want for your object. In short, this setup will allow us to paint the surface in combination with a transparent shader, selling the effect of an object reveal. You can of course choose any material as you want for this, but this was my preferred setup, allowing me to utilize the color attribute as the factor for our mix shader, essentially revealing my material as the dynamic paint is simulated. The color ramp will ultimately determine the crispiness of the edge of the reveal. Now, if you would like to have multiple points of expansion, you can simply duplicate your brush and place it anywhere around your object. The brush must be touching your object to make this work properly. To increase the level of detail, simply add a subdivision surface to your reveal object. At this point, I'll go to Rendered View, add in a plane, some basic lighting, and an HDRI. I'll also change the color ramp and the principal BSDF to get the desired gold metallic material that I want for my project. Finally, I'll point my camera at our object and I'll play around with some depth of field and hide my brush objects from the rendered view. And this is our final result. If you're interested in learning more about Blender physics, join cgcookie.com and learn more from my in-depth Core Fundamentals on Physics course.